Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's presentation on SAP's Business Technology Platform. My name is Rainer Zino, in charge of product management for our mid-market solutions. And I would like to talk to you today about what the SAP Business Technology Platform stands for and what it specifically offers to our mid-market customers and partners. As this is a forward-looking statement, please take a short look at the disclaimer statement. What I'm presenting to you is our current state of planning, but obviously plans can change in these times. That said, why is business technology so important? Number one, whatever we deliver in SAP, it will never be complete. Every customer needs to apply certain adaptations. Be it integration scenarios, be it additional capabilities, be it whatever you name it. And that is exactly where the Business Technology Platform comes in. Secondly, our customers need to adjust to ever-changing market demands. And the best way to do this is to have a technology at hand that helps you to do so. And both the leading analyst firms here, one quote from Forrester, but you get the same quotes from Gartner or IDC, underline that this is a mission-critical capability and therefore it is so important for SAP. So what is the Business Technology Platform all about? What does it do for you? Number one, it helps you to transition into the cloud. If you have legacy applications and you need to transition them to the cloud, BTP is the instrument of choice. BTP is also the instrument of choice to keep the core clean, and I will talk more about this concept in a minute. It simply means keep the core application as slim as possible and build additional capabilities not into the kernel, but rather as loosely coupled components, and BTP is the instrument of choice. Optimize your business processes and drive automation. Drive automation is one of the low-hanging fruit that we can all use to make best use of the work time of our employees. And last but not least, drive decision based on data. We need to have one solid data plane so that there's only a single source of truth when it comes to the data. That said, let's look at a different visualization of what the Business Technology Platform does for you. As you can see, it is the underlying platform under all of the SAP business applications. And in that area, it helps you with application development, automation, integration scenarios, data and analytics, and obviously all of the artificial intelligence capabilities that we are seeing that will change our world in quite a substantial way. So, business applications built on Business Technology Platform. In SAP, we like to walk the talk, which means we first and foremost use Business Technology Platform for ourselves. And I already mentioned the term, the clean core. I took here one slide from the S4 presentation, which describes exactly what we want to accomplish. We want to build net new business capabilities like carbon footprint management, like handling of digital currencies. We want to build them side by side on the Business Technology Platform because we need that capability for multiple solutions. But also within the solution, and here you see the picture for S4, it could be equally by design or Business One, we want to keep as few applications as possible in the kernel. We're even reconsidering rebuilding certain capabilities side by side and taking them out of the kernel. So that is the lean core concept, which we are also proposing to you. It comes to building new business applications on the Business Technology Platform. The first one I would like to present to you is a new business capability to manage the carbon footprint of your company called Sustainability Footprint Management. And let me show you a simplistic company, a bakery. And the bakery has an inflow of 4.2 tons CO2, mostly for raw material, gas and electricity, and has an output, obviously, of 4.2 tons for their two products, fruit cake and chocolate cake, plus they put some stock into the warehouse. In the middle, you see the entire production process with the oven, with the cooling system, and so on and so on. The good news is all of the blue lines are already in your SAP system because these are the goods movements. The red lines is the energy flow, and I will show you how we cope with that one in a second. If I now switch into the application, then the system presents to me the first screen, on which I now have access to all of the business capabilities, and let me give you a quick idea on how this application works. So the first area is Analyze Footprint Overview. The footprint overview presents to you the high-level perspective on carbon emissions for your company. So you see the total emissions broken down in the different categories. You see the different areas, and you see what we sometimes describe as the green ledger. You see the balance sheet between carbon inflow, carbon outflow, and for the specific point in time that I've chosen here, it is 12.8 tons. You can see the input side and you can see the output side. So that already allows you to disclose to the market what is the carbon footprint of your company. The second interesting question obviously is, well, how do we get to that data? And the answer is exactly as I said. You first start to import the relevant information, be it master data, be it transactional data, and that is something that we deliver out of the box for our ERP solutions. But if you don't yet have all of these capabilities active, then you can also upload the data via files. Once you have imported the data, the second thing that you can do is to manage the emissions. Some of your suppliers will disclose to you what the carbon footprint is. Others may not do so. So therefore, we provide you with access to a database where you can look up for all of the material that you have, what the individual carbon footprint is. Let's say for your fruit cake, you need mango. You would like to know what the carbon equivalent is of the mango. And then you can see here per kilogram mango, you have to calculate with 970 grams of CO2. So now you have your master data, your transactional data, and you have the emission factors that you need to do the calculation. The next step is that I said we need to talk about the red lines, about the energy flow. And for this, we built a flow modeler into the system. So let's first pick the legal entity that we want to work on, and let's bring up the graphical flow modeler. And if you remember the PowerPoint which I showed you a minute ago, this is now exactly the same thing. On the left side, you see the inflow of resources. On the right side, you see our assembled products. And in the middle, you see the production process with all of the meters for gas and electricity, which you can either operate via an IoT scenario, or you can upload the data also if required manually through a file. With all of that information in place, I can now present to you what you've already seen, the corporate overview, but I can also manage my footprint results. Manage my footprint results simply means I can now pick, let's say, a chocolate cake production for the month of March, and I can see the CO2 breakdown. I can see, good news for the chocolate lovers amongst us, the dark chocolate doesn't move the needle. But the biscuit and the chocolate assembly are the main drivers of the carbon footprint. So if I would like to understand a bit more, what is the chocolate assembly all about for that month? I can see it here. I can see that I consume electricity and I consume for my cooling system CO2. And if I drill into the cooling system, I can see that I have a certain amount, a small one for the warehouse, larger for the cooling system, and some electricity. So if I need to take an investment decision on how to optimize my carbon footprint, this is super valuable information. That, as a very short introduction into SAP's sustainability footprint management, super relevant also for mid-market companies, simply because the size of company above which you need to report back carbon emission factors is getting down every year, and more larger customers simply demand from you to disclose the CO2 footprint per shipment to them. That said, back to the presentation. The second application that we built, and we are in pilot mode right now, is the so-called digital currency hub. In the mid-market, I have quite a number of customers for whom paying and getting paid via cryptocurrency today is already part of their day-to-day business, specifically when they come from the gaming industry. These companies came to us and said, SAP, how do we now actually cope with digital currencies? Is it that we just define one more entry in the currencies table? The answer is no. It is a lot more challenging than that. You need to handle cryptocurrencies like you would handle assets. So there's a whole logic behind it. And to do that in a compliant way is exactly what we took on with this business technology-based application called the Digital Currency Hub. The first commercial example that we implemented is cross-border payment. Cross-border payment is a very relevant topic for mid-market companies, because when you, let's say, want to receive money from the United States to Germany, you can roughly calculate 5 to 7% handling fee for the bank and 5 to 7 days until the money is in your bank account. With the Digital Currency Hub, we enable you to do the same thing at 1% handling fee and at a maximum of 10 minutes. So how do we do that? Again, let me switch over to the application. And here I now have the application up and running. The application behaves very much like your online banking application. So you see your different accounts that you have. So I have a test account on the Gurley network in US dollar stablecoin. I have the same thing for Euro stablecoin, and I have a test Ether account so that I can also simulate transactions in that currency. What I can do is I can look at all of the business transactions. And here you see a typical SAP schema that you know from all of our financial applications. I can see all of the outgoing payments. I can see the network fees that I have to pay for the different transactions. I can see the incoming payments. So like any other banking application that you are familiar with. So, and now let's talk about how easy it is to make a payment, respectively to receive a payment. You simply click here on Make Payment, and then the system asks you, first of all, who do you want to pay? There we introduce an additional layer of security, because you can only transact with business partners that are defined in your underlying ERP system. So if I want to see all of the companies that I'm dealing with, I can pick one from here. I simply say I want to transfer $1.23. And if I click on OK, then the system calculates for me what is the handling fee that I have to pay, and I get the pay to address, and I can click here on Create, and with that I would issue that payment to my business partner. If I want to do it the other way around and request a payment, the mechanism looks exactly the same way. So again, I choose my business partner, I enter the amount of money that I would like to receive, the date, and I'm done with that. So it is a very simple way to be compliant also in the world of cryptocurrencies. If you would like to know more about this topic, let me invite you to look at the YouTube video at the right side with Bernhard Schweitzer, who together with the colleagues is in charge of the Digital Currency Hub, and he talks in detail with a journalist about what this application can do and why it is so important in the face of digital currencies. And keep in mind, latest by 2027, also in Europe, we will have the digital euro, like we already have digital currencies issued by the central banks in China and in India. So this topic is a lot broader than Bitcoin or other virtual currencies that you've heard of. So please take a look at that YouTube video, very entertaining. Next topic is if SAP uses the Business Technology Platform to build applications just once and then connect it against our entire portfolio of application, I'm obviously proposing the same step to my partners. Please develop own intellectual property that you want to sell more than once. Develop it on the Business Technology Platform, because that makes your investment absolutely future-proof. Why is this so important? This is so important because if you build own IP, your customers expect that the application looks exactly like all of the other SAP applications, is operated in a highly secured environment, and meets all of the SAP product standards, which are important for the customers to be absolutely sure that they are compliant. So that is the value proposition of why we are inviting you to build own intellectual property on the Business Technology Platform. With that, I invited one of my teams to take on the challenge and behave exactly like a partner, and build an application, a reference application, that would not make it into the standard of our ERP solution. The team decided to build an application to manage poetry slams. If you would like to see a short demo of that one, have a look at my Business One video or last year's By Design video, where I presented the reference application also in this year's S4 video. I'm touching on it briefly. This application is built as a multi-tenancy application, which means you can distribute the cost across all of your customers, and it is a multi-backend capability. So you can connect this application against S/4HANA Public Cloud, against By Design, and against Business One. And that gives you the broadest possible reach. To give you an idea how many services we are consuming, we will not discuss the slide in detail here, but you see that we are providing you with a development environment, with a programming model, and with a runtime environment. Could you build this kind of application on any other's hyperscaler's technology stack? For sure you could. But then you would have to cope with, for example, topics on data privacy on your own. And it is a lot easier to reuse services from the Business Technology Platform than to reinvent the wheel. Please have a look at this webpage, github.com, SAP samples, and then SME reference application. We publish this Git repository to everybody, so that your developers can familiarize themselves with how did we build this reference application and what are the lessons learned. Therefore, the Git repository not only contains the code, it also contains for each and every step a tutorial on how to get to this application. So please familiarize yourself with that application and learn how to build extensions. If I talk about the Business Technology Platform in the year 2024, then obviously the topic of artificial intelligence is of utmost importance. What SAP does is we provide you access to artificial intelligence services as part of the Business Technology Platform. So as a partner or as an application developer, you don't have to worry about how to integrate with ChatGPT 3.5, 4.0, with Aleph Alpha, with what IBM does. We provide you with layered access to these kind of services, which again, we are consuming as SAP for our various business applications, but we are also providing our partners the same access into this environment. Sometimes partners ask me, well, Rainer, where to start? And you know that I'm a big fan of Open SAP courses, so let me recommend you the Open SAP course on generative AI. I put the link here at the bottom of the page, open.sap.com, courses/GenAI1. This is a great introduction by Philipp Herzig and his team on how to cope with generative AI and artificial intelligence in general. One of the topics that I would like to demo to you now is how do we foresee us using this kind of large language model technology to make sure that you get the most out of your solution. And in my role, I have the opportunity to see many demos, many concept cars during the course of the year. I picked two for you because I believe they give you an idea on how much application development can change in the next couple of years and how large language models will help us there. That said, let me start the first application, the large language model collaborative application development. So I'm here within the application, and the first thing I do is I create a new project. And I want to do exactly what I said. I want to build an event management app. I'm specifying what this event management app should do for me. Obviously organizing reading events and poetry slams. And I now choose 3 different agents which I want to work on my behalf. I need a product owner, I need an architect, and obviously I need a developer to build that application. So once I've defined this setup, I can go into the application that I want to build. You see at the top the 3 different roles which I've already defined, and I can now enter the task. And to make it easier for me and not to type it in, I've already prepared that here. I'm the manager and so on. I need this application to do this and this. And then I can use this prompt, say enter, and the system starts to work. First, the product agent takes over and now looks at the prompt that I've provided, and I can also say display the AI actions that are running under the hood. So you can see it's breaking down the text into different chunks, going then onto the web, retrieving information about it, and you can monitor what the system does here. After a while, it is done, and it comes back with 2 files. It comes back with one file which describes the requirements. And this is, those of you who are familiar with Jira, they know the topic of the epic. So it summarizes what managing events is all about, describes that from a product owner perspective, and calls out what are the relevant information. The second document that the system is producing for me is the entity document. The entity document is basically the first cut of my semantic data model, where I can see, okay, I need an event object, I need an author object, book fair, poetry slam, whatsoever, and I also get the relationships. When I review that document, I may say, in principle, this is good, but I would like to change the nature of the venue. I don't need it as a dedicated object. Please update the data model accordingly, and I restart the process again. So now the system works based on my prompt, refines the model further, and after a while comes back to me and says, here is the refined entity.md file, which I can now open and then check which changes have applied. I can browse through it and I can see here the venue has now been defined as a text with a maximum of 100 characters, and that is exactly what I wanted to have. Let me highlight that for you. So here you have the entry in my entities list. With that, from a product owner's perspective, I'm happy with what I have, and I tell the system that we can continue, that the requirements are confirmed, and please continue. Again, I enter that here in the corresponding prompt, and the system starts working, this time in the role of the architect. And the architect's role is to read the two underlying documents which have been already generated in the first round, and now to be more specific on the design document. So the architect calls out many of the additional aspects which need to be described so that in the next step the developer can work. So what you see here is that the architect already defined for me the so-called CDS views, and also the relationships, the detailed information on the attributes that I want to have. So once I am happy with the design document, again, I can do what I've done before. I can inform the system that it's okay, and now the CAP developer takes over and builds the application. That runs for a while. You can see that I've edited the video file here to not keep you waiting. And the CAP developer now provides additional details, for example, on the Fiori user interface, so that you can test drive the application the moment you are happy with the design. So I have implemented all of the methods that I need. I've built the Fiori UI so that I can test drive the whole thing. And the next step now is to tell the system to start the application and run it for me. So this deploy step now happens in the background. I click on OK. The system performs everything that is required, provides me a link, and I now have a first preview to my application. And what I can do in here, I see the service endpoints, and for events, for participants, and if I go now into the events Fiori preview, then the application comes up. Looks like any other business technology platform application, list view, and I can start now to create test data. For example, here to create now my demo reading. So that happens obviously in Walldorf, and I can give the whole thing a specific date when this event will happen. I can also, so let's pick here the next Thursday, the 11th, and I can define the number of participants that I would like to meet in that presentation. And finally, I can click on Create, and that data has now been stored. So if I go back to the main page, to the demo event, I can now test drive the other service endpoints, but I have a good first understanding on how the application looks like. If I switch back to the slides, I could have done all of that myself manually. But I could avoid a lot of typing mistakes. So here the large language model really helps me to gain a lot of development productivity. And I think that is what artificial intelligence is all about in the next couple of years. To really use these models to assist us, to take unproductive time away from us so that we can really focus on implementing the different applications. One more example that I would like to show you. When we are working in a microservices-based architecture, we also need to have an eye on developer productivity and specifically debugging productivity. And also here we believe that we can build solutions for you. And as I said, this is a concept car, so this is not a product announcement. This is something that we are thinking about. So let me show you how large language models can also help us during the development time. Therefore, let me bring up another application. So the log analyzer is something that we built. You start a BTP application, and as you can guess by now, this application will bring back an error. And now we need to see how do we cope with that error. As we would need to go through different log files, this is quite a tedious task. Therefore, what we are doing is we built a log analyzer, and let's restart the application one more time and observe what is happening in the background. So I restart the application, I click on travel, obviously same behavior as before. I get an error message on the left side. So on the right side, with the AI log analyzer, I can look under the hood. I pick the first error and I task the log analyzer to look into the situation for me. So I now bring up an application which first of all takes a specific ID and now goes through all log files and searches for this ID. Already that takes normally, when you do it manually, quite a bit of time. And then you can extract the error. So instead of going through the logs, and let me just open them up, so I would have to crawl through all of them now manually, which obviously is not a very fancy task. So if I close the logs again, what we've used the large language model here is to summarize all of the logs, to extract the information on the error, then to generalize the error message, and now we are passing on that information to our vector-based knowledge databases. So when we pass on that information, the system comes back and says, I have certain hits, and already here I see 94%, 93% likelihood that this is a good hit. So I now take the list of the hits, provided back to the large language model, and ask the large language model to summarize the whole context for me. So that is the first step. And the second step is I'm asking the large language model to generate a solution proposal for me. This takes quite a while. Therefore, again, we fast forward here the video a little bit so that you don't have to wait too long. And the system comes back with a document which says, here is the problem statement. So this is what happened. It gives me a background on why it happened. It identifies the root cause and it proposes a solution for me. So that makes it a really powerful tool for me to take that information. Now here in this specific case, a certain endpoint information was missing. I can take the code, apply it to my specific area where I need to do that change, and then I can run my application again, and most likely it will work. At the end, the solution asked for feedback. So how do I rate that solution? Because that again influences then later the search results for future queries. That said, this gives you a first idea on how artificial intelligence, the use of large language model, vector databases really helps us moving forward. That's basically the entire story on why I'm proposing Business Technology Platform to you to build your own extensions. I'm really looking forward meeting you at the SME Innovation Summits, which happen in the month of March and April. You see the registration page here. Looking forward meeting you in person, discussing with you what BTP can do for you. That much from my side. Thanks a lot for your attention.